Welcome to the Past Passport. We don't just visit cities, we uncover how they ran the world. Because behind every skyline and alleyway is a money trail, and history makes a lot more sense when you follow it through trade, labor, taxes, and the systems people use to build power. We look at the places where the economy shaped empires and where craftsmanship, commerce, and culture were inseparable. And today we're heading to a city that feels frozen in time, but once it buzzed with the sound of hammers, chants, and deals struck behind carved wooden doors. Let's go to Fez. You can smell it before you see it. Earth, leather, dye, spice. The scent of a city that still works with its hands. Fez is a maze. More than 9,000 alleys, twisting, crossing, coiling through one of the largest car-free urban zones in the world. But it's not just the layout that makes this city unique. It's the rhythm, the sound of tools on copper, the echo of prayer, the splash of dye vats, the quiet shuffle of handwritten books. Fez was built by merchants, shaped by artisans, preserved by scholars. It's not a museum, it's a machine that never turned off. Let's go back. The city was founded in the 9th century, but it began to truly rise under the Idrisid dynasty and later under the Marinids in the 13th and 14th centuries. Why? Because of two things Fez had in abundance: location and labor. Fez sits right where North Africa connects to both the Mediterranean and the Sahara. From the north came linen, silver, glass. From the south, gold, salt, slaves, ivory, and in between, Fez took its cut. But here's what made it different. This wasn't a port city, it wasn't a fortress. Fez built its name not on conquest, but on craft. This city was built by artisans. The Medina, the old city, became a layered ecosystem of specialized labor. You had tanners, potters, weavers, carpenters, metalworkers, each with their own guilds, rules, tools, and secrets. And they didn't just make things, they made the best. Fez was known across the Islamic world for its leather, still is, tanned in pits that haven't changed much in 1,000 years. The secret? A brutal but brilliant process using limestone, pigeon droppings, and saffron. The result? Leather that lasted, smelled rich, and felt like velvet. Fez leather made its way across Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. Boots, belts, saddles, bookbindings, all branded by smell, color, and feel. And every step of the process created jobs. But the economy wasn't just about making it was about managing. Every trade had a guild, and every guild reported to a muktasib, a market inspector. They enforced quality, honesty, weights and measures, ethical pricing. The idea was simple: protect the city's reputation by keeping the standards high. And it worked. Fez became a destination, not for conquest but for contracts. But the other force behind Fez? Knowledge. This city wasn't just a marketplace, it was a university. In 859, a woman named Fatima al-Fihri founded the University of al-Qarawiyyin. It still stands today, and many say it's the oldest continuously operating university in the world. This wasn't just a school for elites. It taught theology, astronomy, medicine, law, philosophy. Students came from Cairo, Baghdad, Timbuktu, Cordoba, and just like the artisans of Fez traded leather and brass, the scholars traded ideas. In the same Medina where tanners scraped hides, you could also find a scribe copying rare manuscripts, a jurist teaching Sharia under a cedar awning, a mathematician breaking down Greek texts translated into Arabic. Trade and thought, craft and knowledge, material wealth and spiritual inquiry, all side by side. This blend is what gave Fez its soul. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it was respected. Its economy didn't rely on global conquest or colonial theft. It relied on steady output, controlled quality, and a reputation that outlived rulers. But history doesn't leave cities untouched. By the 15th century, the global economy began to shift. New sea routes were cutting across old caravan paths. Trade that once flowed through North Africa began moving around it. European ports grew fast. Inland cities like Fez slowed down, and then came colonialism. The French arrived in the early 20th century and pushed modernity onto Morocco like a fast-forward button. New cities were built, Western-style institutions rose. The Medina was left behind, too slow, too old, too inefficient. But Fez resisted. While other cities raced into the industrial age, Fez held on. Not because it couldn't modernize, but because it knew what it had. It had craft, it had culture, it had the ability to produce by hand what machines couldn't touch and what modern consumers would eventually crave again, the human touch. And now, that resistance has become resilience. Today, Fez is still a working city, Still a place where people pass down trades through generations. Still a place where a university founded in the 9th century teaches classes in the 21st. Tourists come for the sights, the tiled courtyards, the blue gates, the tannery balconies. But the real story? It's still happening behind closed wooden doors, in courtyards where artisans carve, dye, sew, and teach. Because Fez isn't just surviving, it's proving that an economy built on craftsmanship and knowledge can still stand the test of time. And that's the legacy. Fez didn't invent capitalism, it didn't invent empire, but it mastered something else: the long game. Build quality, protect tradition, educate deeply, and stay useful. Even when global economies shift, those values hold. So the next time you hold something handmade, or hear the call to prayer echo through a narrow alley, or run your hand across an ancient mosaic, remember what you're touching. You're touching an economic system that believed in skill over scale, a city that made its mark not with armies, but with artisans crafted by trade, preserved by time. Thanks for exploring with us. If you learned something new, hit subscribe, and drop a comment on what city you want us to visit next. Because at the Past Passport, we don't just follow history, we follow the systems that kept it alive. And Fez? That's a masterclass in slow, intentional, lasting success.